but obviously with everything that's going on, I had to. I wanted a way of getting information to people as quickly as I possibly could, and I was really blown away by the feedback that I got from not only people that were listening, but then how relatively easy it was for me to persuade people to actually come on and spend 45 minutes, an hour with me on a Zoom call that I was recording to use for the episodes. Just fantastic feedback from it, and I'm really pleased. But new episodes 6 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the moment.
That's a nice structure, really. So so people know when it's coming out. That's what I learned from you. Of course, people who are on this call also want to hear a little bit about property finance. So what's new, Sam, in terms of property finance?
Yes, I think positive stuff. Obviously, in the last week or so, we've seen a lot of lenders move towards the desktop valuation model. We've had some big players come back into the market, Precise and Kent Reliance. That really was the valuation issue is probably the biggest thing that's holding up our market, because physically we can't get valuations done, which are traditionally necessary for every mortgage or every bridging loan or every development finance loan. So finding a way around that has been massively important. But there's one key thing, I think, to this that people are getting a bit of a misconception. Even had to describe this difference to some people in my own industry recently, was that people are getting a bit mixed up as to what a desktop valuation actually means, because what it means, what it has meant is like an automated valuation previously. So like almost like an indexed valuation. So you can go and just ask for a report on what kind of a computer thinks that the property is actually worth. A true desktop valuation though is actually a physical surveyor doing all of their online research and writing up a full report. They just don't actually go and view the property. So they're using online data. And so it does mean that if, say, for example, there are any quirks to your property, anything that's particularly good or better than, say, other properties on the street, we do have a human being that we can send valuation packs to. And that's something that I'm doing with all my clients. I mean, I do it anyway, but something that I'm doing with the vast majority of my clients anyway is putting together valuation packs, which will include before and after photos if you've done a renovation, a schedule of works, an overview of the project and what you've done, and then some actual sales comparables as well to sort of back up what you think the value is going to be. And people say, oh well, if you're sending that to a valuer, are you kind of telling them how to do their job? I've had that, but it's really, really rare where a valuer doesn't like it. To them, you're helping make their life easier by giving them information that they might not have had access to. So it means that their research time is cut in half, and they can get that job done and dusted nice and easily and move on to the next one, tick in the box, job done. So something that I think is really, really important is that we're seeing more of those at the moment. So hopefully that's going to start the market moving a little bit, because certainly, as I said to you previously, I've seen in the last week, I've done more applications in the last week than I have for new mortgages and new finance in the last week than I have for the whole of lockdown so far.
Sam, we're going to put a time on this interview, 30th of April, so the last day in April. So it's interesting what you're saying. Just repeat that again.
Yeah, so right now in the last week, so the last week of April, I've seen more applications than I have for the whole of lockdown.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's really positive for the market. It shows that people are taking action. And as I've said to you before as well, people are getting used to what I'm calling this temporary norm. It's not a new norm that people are saying, oh, we're going to get used to the new norm. No, that will happen after lockdown's finished. We'll get used to that new norm then. We're in a temporary norm at the moment. And people are just, instead of sitting on their hands, I think more and more investors and property people are going, actually, let's just take action. Let's get on with it. We don't know when lockdown's going to finish. We don't know how quickly things are going to get back to normal. We can't hang around anymore. Let's just get on with it. We know where we stand with lenders. We know where the loan to values are. We know what the rates are like. We know what kind of valuations we're getting. Let's just go and give it a go.
So Sam, for our listeners on the podcast, whether also on social media, just a little bit of a plug for my morning session, Brendan's property brunch. You're going to give the finance update, so it's Monday morning. Plus, there's going to be a breakout room which is focused on funding. So I've put yourself, Daryl Norcutt from Lenwell, Paul Pinder, partner at Ronald Fletcher Baker Solicitors, and Alternative Finance crowd with us in that room. So change things slightly. What's your call to action? How can people benefit from that room?
I think the most important thing is it's a relatively small cluster of people. You've got myself and obviously 3 other sort of industry experts at your disposal. And I think if there are certain questions that you want to ask that you think other people are going to benefit from, we want to create a conversation. We like people to all have their microphones on during in those breakout rooms. You know, if a dog starts barking or there's some loud music, then we'll turn it off. But on the whole, it's about having conversations. So, you know, come to those breakout rooms with maybe some topics that you'd like to discuss. If you don't understand the difference between bridging finance and a mortgage, you know, if you've had a problem with something and you want to get some advice on how that will get sorted, you know, come with those questions, especially if they're things that can be quite generic, that hopefully everyone in that room can actually benefit from. I think that's the key. And we like to just have a real nice chat about those things. So instead of it just being, you know, one person at the front of a room doing a presentation about something, it's an all-inclusive conversation, which is pretty unique. You know, we don't get the opportunity to do that too regularly.
So Sam, for the podcast listeners who can't see your T-shirt, the Game of Loans. So how can they find out more about the Game of Loans and who's coming up? Final question.
Absolutely. It's all, to be honest, it's all it's on every single platform that I think. So if you just do a search on your favorite platform for Game of Loans, then you will almost certainly find it. But yeah, we've had some cracking guests on so far. Obviously, Brendan included in that. We've had James Sinclair, who was awesome, big commercial property investor and business owner. We had Billy Garton Jr. talking about how, you know, you can get in with how you can grow your brand on social media. We had Tej Singh talking about his property journey, and then how he sort of started his podcast and how building his personal brand has really helped his business. We had Hannah and George from Dugard Property that was brilliant as well. They were talking about how property sourcing really is quite hard work, and actually, you know, you should be doing it properly. And as I said, I've got Faith Locken coming up on Friday, who's you know.
So Friday at 6 p.m.
Friday at 6 p.m. Yeah, Faith will be on, and she's going to be talking about how you know, she's kind of, well, I suppose her title of her YouTube channel is the Property Hustle, and she really has hustled. She's worked for free, she's done internships, and we go through her journey, which I think is massively insightful, because it really shows you maybe, you know, how hard you have to work to get where you need to get to in property. And that's going to be a fantastic episode. We've got Ben Richards coming up as well. We've got Alex Hearn coming up too. We've got the brilliant Jack Wicks, who's going to be who we're recording with this afternoon, and that will be out next week. So lots of people coming up. We're packed up with property celebrities.
Sam, I just want to say a massive thanks for taking time out today, and to our listeners as well. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks.